Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name is Timpedia, and welcome to the abbreviated TNT podcast, episode 84. We have so little news this week. My God.
And nothing happened. San Diego Comic-Con was like the big moment to talk about shit, and now no one wants to talk about anything because they gotta
I mean,
save up for the next announcement.
this is like after E3, where we had absolutely nothing happen in any of our worlds that we care about.
Yeah.
But as always, I'm Tim, and on my left,
Friedman. I'm Friedman. There you go. Changing it up today because I'm Friedman.
and on my right.
Hey, you can't just take just Tyler's shtick like
I didn't
that.
say just. I said I'm Friedman.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Just Freeman, I see.
Well,
Yeah.
you're Tyler, mostly known as
Oh my
Tyler, but
God.
as we know you, just Tyler.
This is a big titty anime.
Oh boy.
There you go.
And
No,
I said, we have shockingly little news, but we are going to do a topic, and people have often. One of our most popular topics has been D&D related stuff, so we're going to offer some discussion on D&D, and then call it early so I can go grind my fucking Monster Hunter bullshit.
And I sleep.
But I guess let's get right into it. No magic news this week, so Tyler doesn't have to take a nap.
Thank
but
God.
we do have some Doverbank.
Praise Jeebus, hallelujah.
I mean, there was maybe magic
That's
news,
okay.
but it's bad news, so no one's going to talk about
no
it.
one
Let's
can.
get right.
It doesn't affect us, and next week we're going to talk about Commander spoilers. So
Yeah. So
this
let's
is
get
the
into
week of
Overdank.
freedom.
So last week, we talked a lot about the Sigma reveal because I think by the time we had recorded last week, the teaser trailer of him going insane of the new character Sigma had come out, and he was going insane. It seemed really cool. The following day, they put up a bunch of PTR changes. I know they had previously announced the change to having roll Q for 2-2-2-2 offense 2.
Yeah, we definitely talked about that.
Yeah, and there were issues with Brigida becoming more of a healer. Since then, the patch went up on the PTR. Sigma's now available to play. He's by far the most complicated character to play in the game, just because he's got so many very different abilities going on. Like, he has a shield. He has an ability that lets him block damage. He has another one that has a knockback, but the knockback only works if you throw it super duper far. So it's really challenging to figure out, like, when the fuck are you supposed to use that? His ult lets him fly a little bit, and he has a really big damaging ult, but he's super duper vulnerable. Long story short, he's decent, and I like that we have a new complicated shield tank, because right now, like, playing Reinhardt and just holding down right click is fucking annoying. Orissa's like the big hotness right now in terms of competitive, and we need another shield hero or shield character to break up the meta. That said, he does have a big issue, so I'm gonna describe his ability to you guys because I don't think either of you played him yet.
Nope.
So
No,
instead of so you know how Orisa, when she presses E, she'll throw down a projectile that then becomes the shield?
Yes.
With this guy, when you hold down his right click, it creates a shield in front of him and starts moving forward. And when you let go of right click, it stops wherever it got.
Weird.
So you position it away from you. So it's really cool. And then you right click again to make it go away. And while it's not deployed, it can regenerate health.
Here's a question about the shield. So you said when you hold right click, it kind of projects forward ahead of you. Does it angle with you as you move? Because I'm assuming you're not standing still this whole time, or
once you let go of it, it's moving in a straight line. You can proceed to keep moving around anywhere.
Gotcha.
The problem with it, and it's a big problem I have, is there aren't a lot of other skills except for like scoping in or doing like what's it called, like aim down sights with Ashe. There's not a lot of other skills in the game where this hold down for a certain duration of time and then let go to let your ability happen. It's not really a thing in Overwatch, so it's really hard getting used to like placing the shield things. Like, I would tap right click thinking it's going to start projecting, I tap again to stop it, and that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the biggest request everyone's talking about on Twitter is either make it a toggle in the settings or change it by default. For anyone who's played Lucio, there's two ways you can like switch between songs on him. Either shift can switch between the two modes, or I think there's a mode where if you hold down shift, it switches over to speed boost, and if you let go, it goes back to healing. So they do have like character specific toggle changes in the settings. This could be one for him.
It's also like, remember Rainbow Six when they switched the style for placing gadgets?
Oh yeah, that was weird.
But then you could also but then they added an option in the menu where you could turn it back to the original mode. I feel like that's the kind of thing you would want with, like you said, with Lucio and with this guy.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely going to release that for him. A lot of people are talking about it. But the other thing a lot of people are talking about is that Brigida's really, really bad under the new balancing policies.
And here we go.
No. So I'm going to be real here. Like, this is an actual problem. Like, she's designed as a bruiser class character, but when they changed her to be a healer, they got rid of all the things that made her good as a bruiser, but they didn't get rid of her kit that's very bruiser intensive. So like, she literally is a bad healer unless she can get into melee range, but now Tracer can destroy her shield in less than 1 clip of ammunition. The character she was built to counter now counters her.
So I tweeted yesterday after I sent you guys that little clip from Reddit that just felt so fucking sad and funny at the same time.
I mean, this happens a lot. Characters go from like really good to just unplayable so they get reworked. This happened with Symmetra.
It happens
with
in
Torb all the time. Torb's now good. Doomfist goes from being the most OP to the dumbest fucking character on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll bring it back in line, but it just means you're going to have probably like a month of just you don't want to play her.
I tweeted this out, but like Brigitte, I know it's bad to have be a one trick or have a main, but like I don't play that much. I'm not gonna learn the intricacies of every character, and I liked playing Brigitte a lot.
I mean, you don't have to play a lot to learn 3 characters.
Freeman, I know other characters. Like I played Hanzo a bunch, but she was my first favorite character. I also just liked being able to play as her a lot.
I don't know.
Tyler, did you get called Korean on Hanzo one time?
Look, I don't know anyone else who's gotten called Korean for holding on left click on Brigitte. So, oh no, you're talking about the Hanzo
the
headshots
Hanzo thing. Talking about Brigitte.
99% of the time I'm killed by a Hanzo, he's not aiming for me, so I know they're not Korean. They're just Hanzo mains.
Look, all I'm saying is I liked playing her a lot, and it sucks to hear that she's shit.
She'll get fixed, don't worry. Characters don't stay shit for long in Overwatch. Like, if someone's deemed a troll pick, it means they're going to get fixed. So I'm just curious if they're willing to change things about her character, or if they're going to double back and say, like, maybe she should be a bruiser, but just have, like, bad healing and that just be a thing about her. Like, just have her be not the best healer, but have her a very aggressive frontline presence. Because none of the other healers are like that. Like, maybe Moira, which brings me into the point I was going to start with, is they talked about this idea that Moira was going to be able to fade out of like stuns and Roadhog's hook, and it seemed like a very odd buff given how good she already is. And they've straight up canceled that buff because they're just like, wow, this is way more broken than we thought it would be. But like, no one asked for it in the first place, so I'm curious why they introduced it.
Someone on the balance team likes Moira,
but like, she's already really good.
I don't know.
There's some concerns that they think she's too one-dimensional, but I don't know. She's
already
perfectly
good,
fine.
Though. Like she can either do a lot of healing or a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah,
that's a lot of
like
damage.
I don't think she needs to be more complicated. Like, there can be simple heroes in this game.
That's kind of how things have been with League lately, actually. Like, I've just been like, obviously I don't play League anymore, but I like to. Considering I've had nothing but free time at work, I've been watching a lot of League games. And a lot of the new champs are like, like the newest champ that came out a few weeks ago. She's like, yeah, I have an ability that depending on which piece of terrain you click on, it has one of 3 different sub things that it does. And then the ult, like, is super complicated. And then there's the last champ before that, like, attaches to people and like bounces around, but doesn't actually usually move on their own. It's just fucking. It's complication creep that it's like not even power creep. It's just what's a good word for it?
It's just they're trying to make the heroes more technical. They don't want to release something that seems simple.
But the thing that sucks about those heroes is that they're only like those heroes are the worst to balance for pro play versus general population. Like, there are champs in League that are in pro play all the time, and it's like, yeah, but no one plays these in fucking solo queue because no one except super good players with voice comms with everybody else actually know what they're doing.
So it's kind of like Overwatch is sort of the same. There's a couple characters like if you ever see someone play Wrecking Ball, like at our skill level, if people play Wrecking Ball, usually they're trolling. But once you get to the professional level, he's a really good disruptor. But most people at our skill level are bad at that, and he just ends up feeding.
Yeah, it's like Azir, if you remember him from League, Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can summon up to 3 little minions around the map that he auto attacks through them if an enemy's in range of them. He uses them to like bounce around the map, and then he summons a wall. He doesn't actually damage anything, but he summons a new physical wall for like 10 seconds that knocks people up. If you don't know what you're doing, he just like gets demolished.
Yeah.
But in pro play,
Very
they know how to
micro-heavy character.
flash around and like throw the wall up and knock them into all the other abilities, and it's just, ugh. That's why, Freeman, you remember Lux?
No, I don't. I played very little
Aw.
League. Just
Lux-
enough to get by.
Lux was one of my favorite characters when I played League, and all she had was 4 super simple abilities, and she's been seeing a lot of pro play recently. And I'm just like, yes, a character that I understand what its abilities are doing when they do it. It just means so much more to me. Instead of like, how the fuck, I don't know what he just did, but he's that champion, so whatever.
Anyway, but it's good that we talked about character complexity creep, because that's an amazing transition into hot off the press Smash Bros. News that happened this morning.
Smash Bros.
So they didn't hold a Nintendo Direct, even though it was basically just a Smash Bros. Direct without all the budget for it. And Sakurai made a joke about it in the first 3 minutes. They didn't have a lot of budget for this. But
Lol.
Sakurai himself came on screen and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to show you how the new character works. And at the last, I guess it was E3, they showed off the 2 new DLC characters. One was very, how do I put it? Eastern oriented in the protagonist from Dragon Quest, and the other one was Western oriented in the reveal of Banjo-Kazooie. And I don't think he's out yet, but they showed off the Dragon Quest hero character, which was really cool. They played a lot of homage to how Dragon Quest as a game plays, and they've kind of done that with a lot of the DLC characters. If anyone played Cloud in Smash Wii U or Smash Ultimate, he has like a bar that charges up, and then he has a limit break, which just basically boosts all of his special attacks for one attack. And it was a really cool way to take some of the gameplay elements in the game they came from and put it into the game. And they did that with Dragon Quest. This character, instead of having a set special, when you use his B, it opens up a menu where you can pick the magic you want to use, and your character's an MP bar. So he has by far the most moves in the game, and it took Sakurai like 10 minutes to explain every single one of his neutral specials. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is really complicated. Immediately, the Smash Bros. Community is up in arms, and they want this guy banned because they're like, there's too much RNG. He has crits when other characters don't have crits. He has a self-destruct for no fucking reason? Like, this character has a lot going on, but I think everyone's really underestimating how difficult it is to navigate a menu in the middle of a fighting game. So, I see him being cool. I don't play Smash Bros. Competitively, but I don't feel like he's going to be too busted. That said, the Smash community is always screaming about something. So this is
welcome
the new
to
thing
the
scream
internet.
about. Finally, he will stop yelling about Joker being broken.
Everything.
I mean, Freeman and Magic, we didn't talk about it, but there's Magic screaming all this weekend.
Oh my god, yeah. Regardless, I think this character is really well done. They have, when they first showed off, there were like 4 different character designs because they wanted to cover like famous protagonists from recent as well as older Dragon Quest games, and they all play the same, so they're all just reskins. But they're all fully voiced. So like,
wow,
the guy who voices Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan is voicing like, I think the most recent one, or like characters who didn't previously have voices now do. One of the old characters who used to not have a voice now has the voice actor who played Link in Melee and original Smash. So it's weird that he's now back in Smash Bros. As a different character. But that was all of it. They only had about 20 minutes of this. I didn't watch the tail end of it, but did they announce a release date? Let's find out real quick.
Regularly play sometimes Smash, Freeman?
Yeah, I hop on to do like the sticker shit whenever they announce a new, or not stickers, what are they called? They're like souls or whatever. I forget what they are, but like in single player mode, you can go and just go to the bounty board and just do these one-off event fights. Whenever they announce like a new weekend event,
like,
I'll
no.
hop on and play a couple of them. That was like the best part of Smash Ultimate, though. Oh, but you didn't play it at all. All right, forget it. I don't know why I'm talking about this then. Anyway, but yeah, they have a.
That's fine. It's cool.
The
Smash
game
is a
has
big deal.
Sorry, I was talking to you like you play this regularly, and I realized you don't. They had it. Smash Ultimate has a better single player mode than probably any other Smash before it. Like, I'm even counting Melee with Adventure mode. So whenever there's like a new event that changes up like what's available in that single player mode, I'll hop on and play like maybe 5 or 6 matches. But I don't play on. I don't have Nintendo Online, so I don't play online against people. And unless my brother's home to play, I don't play with anyone here. So,
gotcha.
I don't think there's a date yet. Oh, hold on. It might be next Tuesday.
Okay.
It is next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's totally next Tuesday. All right, cool.
So that's going to be what, the August 6th.
I believe
Yes,
so.
I checked. No, I checked. I didn't just say that. I didn't just pull that out of my head.
No, they're indicating it comes out today. What the?
All right, who
All
knows?
right, so I guess it's out. Maybe I don't know. Go check it out.
Oh well.
Smash Brothers Hero.
It went
Alright, but
from
like-
just talking about it to hot off the presses.
I'm gonna Freeman.
Yeah,
I literally Google Smash Brothers Hero release date, and Google's little card says July 30th today.
Cool. Google's better at Googling than I am. But like I said, this is the Eastern oriented character because Japan just loves their Dragon Quest. And you know what else Japan loves?
There it is.
They love their weeb shit, just like I do it. 15 minutes in this podcast, we're cruising.
Yep.
Dude, that's fine. Short
so-
day, Monster Hunter.
So very little has happened in the anime community. As we've spoken for the last 2 weeks now, the fire incident at Kyoto Animation is taking a heavy toll on the animation community. One of the things I talked about last week was the show Fire Force, a shonen action anime about firefighting, could not be releasing at a worse time in Japanese history. That said, episode 3 came out. They did announce they needed to censor certain elements of it. A lot of people thought it'd do with the plot line because for the first time we meet a villain who's threatening to set people on fire. That part of it wasn't censored that much. It turns out there's a shot in the ending animation, which we saw in episodes 1 and 2, where there's a bunch of like burnt corpses walking on screen just to I don't know. Like it was one of those shots that you don't pay attention to normally, but now given the context of what's going on, everyone's like, I don't know if we can show that on TV. So they had to change the ending animation. They changed certain details like not showing intensity of fire, which I think is troublesome given that fire is supposed to be shown as this actual deadly force in this show. I don't know what impact is going to have on the rest of the series, given they did start working on it pretty far in advance, so they don't really have the ability to change the next couple episodes. Well, not a lot. I'd say at least 4 episodes out they probably have done, but like they can't really change a lot of details now. They just have to censor or cover up elements they think might be problematic on Japanese television.
So
it's rough.
Since we're talking about this, so I saw on r/anime some other show delayed itself a month, like half a month, but everyone was like, "This show sucks anyway, so we don't care."
Yeah, that show's having actual real problems, so they're kind of just using this as an excuse to be like,
take a break for a minute.
We got to cover our tracks, all these production issues we have. Let's just be like, sorry, we had to edit the fire out of episode 4, so we're just going to take a bump off.
Why don't people like this show?
No, it's not Fire Force. It's a different show.
Another one.
Oh.
It's like a remake tribute to an older show, but the studio doing it isn't like known for their work. So it's just kind of happening because it's an anniversary, not because people actually wanted to do this. So it kind of shows.
Yeah, here it is. I found it. BEM.
Haven't even heard about it.
Dude.
Until this announcement, I didn't know it was a show.
It's still on the first page of r/anime, and it's all the comments are like, well, like I feel like a lot of people who are on the fence with the show are gonna just drop it now. That's a long break, and it's apparently like a 3-week break.
It was the kind of show where everyone watched episode 1 and really didn't like it, and anyone who was sticking around still didn't like it. Like, I was talking about that one show, Ari Ferretta, that's just a bad light novel adaptation. I saw episode 3. By the 3rd episode, it's gotten better, but it's still pretty shit. Like, we're 1 episode away from everyone dropping the show because it's just straight up bad. And this show was, like, on that schedule, and now they're taking 3 weeks off, so no one's going to watch it again in 3 weeks, because now the conversation's moved away from it.
So, just before we get off Fire Force, so Val and I actually watched the first episode last night. And
what'd you think of it?
Well, you knew that. I messaged you about it, and you were like, I'm not sure what I think about this.
I want the listeners to know what you think about it.
So, I am very hooked. Not actually because of the plot so much for once. I think it'll grow on me. I do think the beginning is fine, but the fire animation... This show...
They work with Studio Shaft, and they're some of the best out there.
Dude, this is like... This reminds me of, like, One Punch Man Season 1. Like, the Genos versus Saitama fight.
Yep. With
the energy flying everywhere. That's what this fucking fire looks like. And, wow. it looks really good. And the main character is so weird. How he smiles when he's nervous, but they sharpen his teeth to points so that they play into this whole idea that he's the devil.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking goofy, but like honestly, it's just a fun show, and the fire looks so sick. We're gonna keep going with it. I mean, there's only 3 episodes out right now, so we're probably gonna like tomorrow before D&D or something sit down and do it. But yeah, I'm pretty hooked. It's a similar thing. Yeah, sure, Tyler. That sounds good. Uh, it just looks gorgeous. And honestly, I was kind of hooked from the beginning because the first scene is the main character is on a train platform, and just boom, one of the train cars is on fire all of a sudden, and just the animation of that first bit before the intro, I was already like, yep, we're gonna watch this. Yep. When Freeman, you remember when he turns it on and his clothes burn, like his shoes burn away, and he just kicks it up a notch? I was like, ooh, that was
I'll
sick.
be honest. I thought I'd like this show. I don't think I'm liking it that much.
Oh, you're watching it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we both have our doubts after episode 3.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. I'm just saying, off aesthetic, I want to keep watching, but like I said, we'll probably catch up tomorrow, and I'll check in. When do these episodes come out?
Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday.
So we'll probably.
Sometime around then. Usually, I end up watching on Saturdays.
So if you guys watch 4, we'll all be caught up by next week. And can
Yeah.
talk
So
about
listeners, next week we're going to discuss Fire Force episode 4 and our thoughts. So
actually, 2 weeks. I just remembered. We already
listeners,
said.
in 2 weeks we're going to talk about our thoughts up to episode 5. So be caught up. Yeah, it's Friday at like 1 in the afternoon.
Speaking of Fire, though, there is good news about Fire.
So I'll lead in with the bad news. Names are coming out about who passed away in the Kyoto Animation fire attack, I guess. It's really sad at this point. We're still waiting up for a couple people who are still in the hospital. They announced the 35th death the other day. But the good news that the light at the end of the tunnel was that they thought that they had lost everything in Studio One, but it turns out the server room was surrounded by enough concrete that none of the hard drives experienced major heat damage, and I think they said almost all the hard drives are all recoverable at this point. So
I think they said basically alpha data.
Yeah, basically everything is recoverable. So I know they had principal work for an unannounced movie on there, so now all of that has been preserved. So everyone's very excited that it means that work from a lot of these people who are not with us anymore can still move on to the next stage and become Kyoto Animation's next big movie. Because even the head of the studio put out an announcement to just everyone, including the worldwide audience, just saying that like this is not the end of Kyoto Animation. We're going to come back stronger than we were before. Thanking everyone, including the international community, which is like, it's really odd because usually it's Japan's about Japan, and like even the Japanese government is now changing certain codes that will allow them to accept the donations from overseas just because of how insane the support coming in has been.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what did it say? Like I know that the GoFundMe had raised like $2 million, but wasn't there an announcement that their donation bank account that they had set up had received like over $5 million worth?
Yeah, they opened a separate bank account that could accept donations internationally legally, so anyone can do a wire transfer to it.
And they had already gotten like $5 million additional dollars through there. That's
yeah, but right now they're working with people who are pretty well versed in the tax code to like make sure this actually goes to those who it matters to and doesn't get caught up in like some like income tax shit, and it actually qualifies as like donations to charity. So it's good to hear, the good stuff at the end of this otherwise horrible stretch of news.
It's marginally less bad, yeah.
And now for something even better. So let's just close out on something nice and fun.
You really like.
So David Production, who's working on Fire Force, they took off 2 weeks before airing the double episode finale of JoJo Part 5, which now that JoJo Part 5 is over, we can start with the JoJo Part 6 is never happening as an anime jokes until Part 6 happens in 2022. But for real though, Part 6 is apparently Part 5 is not that well liked, and Part 6 is liked even less. But then Part 7 is insanely popular. So we have this conundrum where they weren't even going to do Part 5 in the first place, but 4 unexpectedly did amazing. So they straight up tweeted out like, whether Part 6 happens depends on how well the DVDs for Part 5 sells.
Oh my god!
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You guys
buy this shit.
Buy this shit. So that's what's happening. David Production is tied up with a couple shows going forward. Like they have Fire Force for a year. They have some other project, and they're doing the new season of Strike Witches, which is pretty cool. They got this other big franchise to work on. So that's it for JoJo. The finale was certainly interesting. It definitely turned this whole season on its head with this whole reframing the whole thing as everyone trying to fight against fate. And it's weird because they really didn't make it very clear until the ending, and then it made it very clear that everything before this was about that. So I think it makes this season good for the rewatch. But the one last little joke thing I wanted to talk about here before we end the Weeb shit is that starting with part 4 of JoJo, everyone's ability names are like bands or named after bands or musicians.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Part 3, they were all tarot cards. So like Star, Platinum, Hermit, Purple, Hierophant, Green. But then with part 4, I think the main character's ability was Crazy Diamond, based on the song Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And then in the subtitles, the first time I watched, I'm like, why the fuck does it say Shining Diamond when he's very clearly yelling Crazy Diamondo in Japanese. And it was this for every fucking character. Like, there's one dude whose stand name is literally Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they're like, "Oh no, it's Hot Peppers," and then I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like, that's not what he's saying. Or like, there was one guy with the name Bad Company, and they kept translating as Worst Company, and it was really fucking annoying. And this season was even worse. Like, sometimes they'll keep it close. Like, there was a character whose ability was named Sex Pistols. So he just called his ability 6 bullets. And I'm like, I see where you're going. I said, but then they started referring to his individual stands, to which he had 6 of them, as the pistols, but the subtitles kept calling them the bullets.
The bullets.
And the fucking worst one is like not the main character. His ability is Golden Experience, and they just translate as Golden Win, which is fine because they use this shit interchangeably. But the secondary main character, his ability is to make zipper portals anywhere. It's a really cool ability. It's like watching someone having a portal gun. And it's named Sticky Fingers, based off of the album, where if anyone owned this record, the front of the record had this dude from the waist down, and the zipper on his pants could be like literally moved on the album cover, and it was this weird gimmick. So that's a zipper reference to Sticky Fingers. Instead of even trying to keep the name similar, they just renamed his stand Zipper Man.
Incredible.
And it's just like I couldn't fucking stand it. Like, he yells Sticky Fingers so much, and it just says Zipper Man. So someone released a Firefox extension that detects when you're watching JoJo on Crunchyroll and when a certain name will show up in the subtitles and swaps with what it should be.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What a hero.
Like, that's what we needed. I was so annoyed watching
hero
them
we
change
needed.
it. Like Aerosmith became Little Bomber. Like, I couldn't stand this shit. Anyway, but that's it for the Weeb shit.
That's it.
All right. Well, we're blazing right along. So we're going to get to the main topic. But first, we have to make a phone call.
No, switch to the other call instead of...
Fine, we'll do that. All right. There we go.
All right.
Let's see if he joins.
Hi ho, friendos.
Hello.
Right.
Welcome
you're
to
live on the podcast.
Live from the
Yay.
TNT podcast. It's Aiden joining us to share in our D&D time.
Oh yes, awesome. I love D&D.
Wait, did Tyler not tell you?
No,
I didn't
Oh.
tell him.
So-
Yay.
Alrighty, so we brought you in here because we've had a bunch of podcast episodes where we tell D&D stories, especially me because I've been playing for so long. But this time we're actually going to talk about like the mechanics of the game D&D instead a little more. So we have 2 things we wanted to do, like a pro and cons list for each of them of, because we've all kind of experienced different levels of these. So the first topic is, what are the pros and cons kind of a game that is more combat focused and more role playing focused? It's basically comparing and contrasting lots of combat or lots of role playing. I guess I should ask Friedman and Tyler first. What do you think Fable is? Where do you think Fable falls on this? Because I actually am curious what you think.
Combat. Hot button combat.
That's fair.
So, I'm not... So, like, our last campaign was definitely very combat focused, but with this one... No, actually, I'd have to agree. Like, I think more about the RP of what our character's doing, mostly because my character is dead weight in combat at this point. But
Says the guy who just saved everyone's lives.
well, hold on. This is going to become a real. All right, Tim. I'm going to throw you a curveball this week, right, based on what happened in that fight. So it's going to be real fun.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. All right.
Yeah, but like how do I put it? Tyler's right. We are not necessarily RP focused, but the way I'm playing the game is I think more about how my character would act and do things than I think about the combat mechanics of the game.
I'm not upset. I agree that it's more combat-y. I just was interested in your opinions. So what are pros and cons then of comparing combat focused games versus much more role play games?
So I actually have a good comparison to go with here. So the very first game of D&D I played with was that like the mini WoW campaign that Tim, you, me, and Val were in.
Yeah. Luigi ran
And
it.
I was playing, and it was a very there was minimal RP, but it was a lot. It was very I don't know. There was a lot of fighting. I picked fighter, so it was a lot of fun. But then we immediately went into Fable, or no, we immediately first we did the Codex Alara campaign where I played a warrior again, and then we went into Fable where I did Paladin, and for the very first part, the only thing about D&D that clicked me was that I'm playing this fighting class, and my characters kind of blended together because I was focused on the mechanics of the game. I think especially in our Codex Alara campaign, I didn't even consider my character having a personality, and it started coming up more in towards the end of Fable, where I was like, my character like needs like when I started having to ask like what would my character do, I'm like, well, what would my character do? And I just started really coming up with like how does he act?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really till the end of that I realized that RP can be pretty good. I don't know if it was in Tyler's campaign we started doing, it was the end of Fable where we first had a session where you're just like you're RPing this part.
I definitely remember doing that in Fable.
So we did do that in Fable
Probably
a few
happened.
times.
Yeah, there have definitely been a few times where I'm like,
But
I'm not doing anything.
But I remember in my campaign, I'm like, nah, y'all talking this out.
Yeah, that has also happened for
like
sure.
a lot.
I remember the first time we did it, it blew my mind though. Like it opened my eyes to like what D&D could be. And I think it's maybe just because of the way I got into it. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was reading some discussion threads on Reddit this week about Critical Role's impact on D&D's growth, and a lot of people were talking about super RP focus. I'm like, all right, well, I haven't watched a single episode. Let's this is what I'll listen to on Monday at work, and I listened to the first episode of their second campaign, and it's mostly just because they have all like trained actors in their play group, but the RP is crazy heavy there, and I see how RP can be almost the entire focus of a D&D campaign for some people.
Aiden, what have you like? I know you and Tyler have been in a bunch of the same games. Do yours end up being more combat-y or RP?
I mean, so far it's kind of. I mean, it depends. It depends on who's running it. I mean, at the end of the day, it always comes down to who's DMing, right? But I kind of have a bias for this, just because I really like RP, and like when I heard that Tyler and Mike played D&D, the first thing I started thinking about was what kind of like personality is my character gonna have, and I didn't, to the point where like my first character had like I gave him stats that were appropriate for RP rather than like game functionality and like optimization, because that I'm just a freak like that. That's just the way I am. I mean, I've seen a healthy mix of both. I feel like our adventures in Mike's campaign have been we've seen quite a bit of combat. And then like I do a thing with Mike and Tyler where it's just the adventures of Boris and War Neon. And I mean like
Say the names one more time.
The adventures of Boris and War Neon.
Yeah, the adventures of Boris and War Neon, and they're all episodic adventures.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of one-shotty things, but I mean like we'll do like 3-4 sessions and stuff. But it's like each episode, I mean, we'll go like 2 or 3 sessions doing nothing but RP. Or that might be a bit extreme. I believe we've done like the most we've done is like 2 sessions just straight of RP. And honestly, like I prefer stuff like that. Cuz like my thing against like heavy combat games is that without good RP, like what does the combat mean anyways? Like I like to be invested.
No, that's fair. You need a framework.
Yeah. Because otherwise it just feels like, oh, I'm playing Destiny 2. I gotta go grind more Vandals now.
Pop, 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 pop. And you may die.
Yeah.
Or you might not die, and it's like you get stuff. And I'm kind of with Aiden there a little bit. Like I feel like there needs to be like a good balance, especially with RP and combat, because even for me, right, like on both sides, I feel the combat can get a little tired after, like I can kill shit for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
How many times do I want to roll this dice to see if I hit this friggin' thing?
Right. And so that's why I try to, like, this is as me as a DM coming through. I try to at least make it so it's like the combat is fun, and also I think that's another thing too, and this is up to the DM as well. But like, depending on kind of like what Ian said, I think it's up to the DM and their specialty. Like if they can make combat very interesting in like some shape or aspect, like some way, shape, or form over RP, then like maybe in that circumstance I could lean towards more combat or
Well, thanks,
vice
Tyler.
versa. What?
No, I'm
Hey,
kidding.
man, that is no slight against.
No, I'm saying I actually I like to think I go out of my way to make combat interesting because I know you guys said Fable's a lot about combat. I try to mix it up every time.
Look, man,
Yeah.
I'm not here to just talk about how you're both shitty DMs, but
That's fair.
that's just
That's
besides.
True.
Fair point. Fair
True.
point.
True. True.
All right.
I am not Matt Mercer. True.
I don't know. I definitely think there's a lot to be said about RPing. RPing feels like such a like I feel like there's so much opportunity for the problem with RPing for me is that even more than combat, it's kind of a single playery thing. Like I know we've definitely run into this problem in our group, especially with Fable and stuff, is where I try to give you guys open hooks, and there are definitely plenty of times where there's a lot of dead air. So I just kind of have to shuffle you guys along to the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's not really any one person's fault, but it's just kind of like the group just doesn't always have initiative. And it's a hard thing to have, but that's kind of why I feel like you guys are probably right about Fable, where I feel like I just need to shuffle you guys down along a path, and then if you're on a quest, either the quest gets resolved like that, or the only thing that eats up time is combat. Because RPing goes a lot faster than combat does.
I'm not gonna lie, our group's a little rough.
Yeah, we have. How do I put it?
We're not great,
Well, first of all,
everyone, and this is why you don't want us to record it.
Damn.
Damn.
I mean, like the first issue is like I definitely prefer playing in person, having the Discord.
That
barrier
I
definitely
agree with
hurts.
that for sure.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't help that we have a particular member who's not paying attention fucking ever. So you
Ooh,
basically
big
discount having that person in the group unless they're explicitly spoken to, which gets kind of annoying. It's hard to do group RP until I have
That's
to be
me.
like, it's not you.
Stop, Tyler. Don't try to take this bullet for somebody else, okay?
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
not taking the bullet. I'm
You just
leaving,
did.
dude.
You said.
You just did. You're not the one who's sitting there drawing horses every time you play D&D.
Oh my god.
Wow. I feel like there's some shade being thrown right now. I don't know who it's
Oh.
about, but I feel the heat.
Aiden, I
So,
mean,
like,
if you had to guess,
wait.
you know who this
Now
is.
Now this
Oh.
is what the listeners are
Nope,
coming.
I know now.
Like,
Now I
here's the
know.
thing- Here's the
Aiden
thing
knows.
when it comes to
Aiden knows
RP in games, and the best moments we've had when we can RP is when I can look someone directly in the eye and just be fully in character. But to start in character and then stop, and be like, hey, I'm talking, and then start over, and they're like, wait, what are we talking about? And then I have to rewind. I'm not in character anymore. I'm now retelling a conversation that didn't happen that I'm trying to. Like, at that point, I can't have the in-character conversation. And that's a big problem. Like, if we could.
Yep.
Anytime we have the moments where, like, in Tyler's campaign, he was like, you guys are in character right now. Everything you say is in character. That was great because there was no backtracking. There was no, oh, well, I was just doing this. What do you think? It was more like, I say something live and right now, and we have to be in the moment with it. And that's when RPing is fun. But, like, you need a very active and engaged player group to do something like that. And a
And
lot of
that's
times
not-
we're not.
Yes.
There's issues in that department.
That is true. I mean that is one of the cons of trying to play RP heavy is like you need the right people for
Everyone needs to be actually RPing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like one person can actually derail the entire thing.
Like I liked when in the first Fable game I thought was great was which I thought actually improved mine and Freeman's relationship was that just through
Yes, Twin Blade.
the twin blades, right? Like the whole dynamic
Well,
of
let's
the twin
recap
blades
this for
was
the
so
listeners
cool.
and for Aiden, 'cause I don't know if he knows this plot line.
I am unaware of the Twin Blade.
So let me just lay the groundwork real quick. So in Fable, the video game, let's say about a third of the way through the game, you infiltrate a bandit camp and eventually have to kill the leader of the bandits, a fallen hero named Twin Blade, and he carries 2 giant fucking swords. And in Fable, the game, obviously in the video game, it's one character fights and kills Twin Blade. In a D&D game, when these guys got to Twin Blade and fought him, I let them loot Twin Blade, and Freeman and Tyler both took one of his swords, and they dubbed themselves the Twin Blades.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
it
nice.
happened a little more different because
Well,
this was the part where no, this is an important character moment.
This
for me.
was definitive. Like
This was a definitive moment. Like, so we're fighting Twin Blade and we disarm him. We're ready to kill him, and he starts begging for his life. Now I'm a paladin. I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should hear him out. Immediately, these guys go all fucking out and just blow him up.
I kill him.
Tyler's the one who's evil here.
I look back at the team and I'm like, damn guys, you didn't even give him a chance. So I grab both the fucking Twin Blades and don't give anyone else a chance to take them. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking sell these because why not? So I go and I go to sell them, and I think Tyler's with me. And the guy explains to me how fucking strong these swords are. So I'm like, maybe I should use this. And I'm like, do I sell the other one? And Tyler's like, oh, why don't you let me use it? And my character sat there and said, this is worth a lot of gold. And Tyler's a huge asshole who just defied what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I've known him forever and he's my friend. So I gave him this Twin Blade. And from that point on, we did so much dumb shit in combat with these swords that it was like a defining camaraderie thing between me and Tyler in that campaign.
There was one moment much later on where at a small cottage next to a fishing stream, Freeman slammed his sword into a chimney and it exploded.
Yeah,
that was the worst part. Was the previous like session. We had this giant battle in this arena where I rolled a nat 20 to like restore Tyler's swords.
Yes.
Like restore the sword. Then we both did this flip through the air bullshit attack where both of our swords were on fire because we both rolled 20. Like it was the greatest moment of all time. And then literally the next session, I roll 1 and a 1, throw my sword into a chimney, and it shatters. And that was the end of the Twin Blades.
Literally.
So
that was the end.
So this is what I mean when I say I try to make combat at least a nice way to. I try to anime up the combat a little bit.
Yeah.
When people roll 1s in my games, I will make them roll a d20 again to determine the severity of how fucked they are. Like Freeman said, he rolled a 1 and then another 1, and that was, well, there's the end of the Twin Blade, shatter time. Or if they roll really well and get something like a 20, then usually they turn into an anime attack, not just a critical. If I recall, at the very end of Fable 1, Freeman rolled a 20 when they were fighting Dragon Jack of Blades, and he literally leapt into the sky, grew wings, and then stabbed him into the earth from the sky. And it was pretty fucking metal.
Damn.
So that's the kind of shit.
Intense.
That's the kind of shit I like to inject to make combat a lot more exciting.
It was, yeah, it made it really cool.
Now that's an example of kind of like, I guess, melding RP experiences or having an RP experience with the combat.
I try to play around our group's inherent disadvantages with the regular RPing, where it tends to be 1 or 2 people, usually Freeman and then Tyler and sometimes Luigi are the ones directly talking. Val does too, but
it definitely boils down to how each player plays. Like I remember there was one time we were doing this fight in a lighthouse. We're all fighting this one bad guy, and Luigi's doing his usual sneaky bullshit. He was like, I'm gonna take whatever's in that box while everyone's fighting. And immediately we're like, what the fuck is he doing? He's stealing the important object. So we're all like, Luigi, are you evil? Which was the first time that I, the character who wants to smite all the evil, asked him if he's evil. So suddenly, like, our combat shit became RP that almost turned the whole team against each other. And it wouldn't have worked unless we RP'd it that way. And it made
that's
that,
right. I almost killed him.
Yeah, and it made that part so much more fun because we had, like, even though we're in combat, we're doing the same, combat routines, our motivation, what we're trying to do in there, we're very character driven. If you have a lot of stuff where it's just like, and Tim, I'm not ragging on the last campaign. I loved how that boss fight played out, but you set us up in a very us versus them scenario.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't like there wasn't like margin for us to change what was going on. It was we were going to fight this boss or we were going to die, and I like that. It was the tension was heavy. Like turn 1, everyone's one shot away from death. Like that was tense.
What was actually kind of cool now that I remember about that scene in particular.
Can I just say I like how this is turning into story time.
Well, yeah,
which is fine. It's stories that are applicable, but it's like it's just funny how D&D always goes back to remember when this shit happened. Honestly, it just makes me happy as the person who ran the game that you guys remember it so well.
Suck dick.
Wow.
There's a reason we don't talk about it.
There's a reason we're playing the sequel right now.
Yeah, not my game.
Yeah, 2 is always better than the first one.
Yeah, this one's different.
That's not necessarily true. I lied.
Not at all.
That's not true.
Fable 3 is going to be the real revelation, you know.
Let's not talk about that.
Anyway, sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
There was information in game that like the rest of the party didn't know, like actually didn't know, and only me and Luigi knew.
Yeah, when Tyler and Luigi snuck off and did a quest to murder a whole group of civilians.
We murdered a whole village, basically. And like, I also did some other things too.
Yep.
And I was like, no, like I'm not doing this shit with you ever again. Like, I will not have any part of this.
Remember when Luigi got Scorm's bow? That was the breaking point where you're like, nah, dude, I'm fucking done.
I can't.
See, that was the best part. I sat there and listened to your side of that campaign, and then as the second you guys came back to the rest of the group, I had to put on a smiley face and assume you guys were both good for like another 5 months. That was hard, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was, and then that was great. But then that made the moment of like me trying to kill him even better because everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
And
like,
you're like,
why
"Dude,
is he
he's
trying
dark.
to kill
No,
him so bad."
No,
And
you
then
guys
there
don't
was
know though.
And then there was the actual like after everything was said and done, like Guts had to like basically go to confessional and tell the entire party like, "Yo, I'm an asshole. I killed a lot of people, like more people than you know." But then all of a sudden, freaking Johnny C gets to be a freaking saint. Just dunked in the holy waters of the well, and it just all of a sudden he's just a good guy now.
I mean,
look, regular bow.
Look,
damn.
Freeman's a paladin. He can't let evil live, so he had to work around this.
No, I know that, but that was the whole spiel, this whole shtick.
It was a struggle I didn't know I signed up for.
I wish Fable was recorded not for publishing, but just for us. Because I'm sad that like some of these stories are gonna fade with time. I'd love to, like, in 50 years, just put on a tape of us playing fucking Fable again and be like, "Oh my god, remember when Freeman jumped into the sky?"
Wow. Well, next time,
all right, whatever.
Next time we're all in person,
fucking goddamn.
Next time we're all in person, cool. I will actually set up something to record us playing D&D.
Oh, stop! We don't have to.
Yes, it'll be fun.
Watch. I'm gonna make sure.
Results in great moments.
I'm gonna make sure our in-person session is terrible.
You know what I love just as much though, that what I said kind of relates to, is the moral dilemmas. Like, I love nothing more honestly than like ethical dilemmas that my friends get put into, and they're literally tearing their fucking hair out because they don't know what to do. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the whole child trafficking quest was literally meant just to watch you guys squirm, and it was hilarious.
Did you like how I gave my character
kids
PTSD after we straight up forgot to rescue that one child?
I did, and that was fantastic. I loved it.
Wow, y'all are terrible people.
No, this is a great character arc. I'm really upset I didn't get to follow through in this, but basically, Luigi and we tied up this child who tried to kill us, and then we forgot about them when we left the mission, so we're like, damn it, we left them for dead. So, like, Luigi's already an alcoholic, and my character started drinking more, and then in the next mission, Luigi fucking dies. My best friend dies, and he's the only other person who knows what happened to this kid. So now I had to live on with this terrible secret.
Bear the weight.
Yeah.
And yo, he died twice.
Yeah.
Luigi died. He died legitimately once. That was crazy. I never actually killed off a player character.
But see, like that in that session when he died, that was a combat heavy session, but it was still memorable because something crazy in it happened.
Yeah. So players, for context. So this is in my game. They had to go raid this storehouse, and little did they know they were gonna find some additional clues, but they overlooked them at the end. Anyway, they run into this dude who's driving an APC, who's clearly not supposed to have one, and Luigi decides in his berserker rage to climb on top of this
Oh yeah.
Warthog APC thing and start trying to break the window. Little did he know, it's plexiglass, can't break the window, so he just gets demolished. He gets destroyed, torn apart by this mounted machine gun on it. And Val's not even here, right? Because she plays the paladin, so I overtook the paladin role, and I just was like, yo, I'm just gonna be god tier paladin right now, literally. Like I had, was rolling dope ass rolls. I was like, man, this fucking sucks, dude. Why can't I roll this way? But anyway, I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? You know what'd be crazy? Because Luigi's character died. I mean, I'm the DM right now. I can do whatever I want. But I'm like, you know what? If I roll a 20 while she makes a prayer, while she's pleading for a friend to live, I'll give it to her. I roll a 20. I read out. I was like, no, stop. Like, this isn't real. This isn't real.
I remember you went dead silent, just sent a picture to the group chat of the 20.
Yeah, they're like, what happened? I was like, this is the 20 that saved Luigi's life. Literally. And you get weird shit like that too, right? Like
The
that's
gods
what
demand it sometimes.
The gods demand the powers that are even above me decided that Luigi was gonna live that day.
The powers above God.
The powers above God. And I gotta take a second to acknowledge rolls. What's up with rolls? Sometimes you get 320, sometimes you get like 6 1s in a row.
Oh, the inauguration night for my new set of dice. I just rolled 4 4s in a row.
Yes. Like, what the fuck? Like, actually. I know.
Man.
And I know sometimes dice are just not balanced right, but holy shit. There's like no way.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. God, no. God. Oh, I feel like we got off.
I mean, at the end of the day, it comes back to there's pros and cons to both. RPing helps build a campaign and helps build your characters, but it also, I feel like Freeman. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Luigi mentioned that he felt like his game was going really fast. I feel like he was trying to have us RP, and we were kind of just flying along.
So I personally have a problem in Luigi's campaign because I thought our characters would be a lot different starting. I didn't. So for context, we're doing I think it's a WoW mod of 5e, and we're playing as essentially these like zombie characters. We just got awoken from the dead, and I was in the impression we had been like awoken a little while ago, and our characters were already established. And I asked Luigi, is it possible that I could have like had a past, forgot about it when I was arisen, and now I'm a different person? He's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, all right, cool. My character had some time to establish who he was since then. And Luigi's like, no, you just woke up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm playing as an amnesia patient. And I wasn't expecting that, and it's really hard to get into a character who has actually nothing, and I don't want to rely on the crutch of just becoming the evil person I was. Like, I'm trying to do, like, my character's a nice old man, and he has to deal with the fact that he used to be this huge asshole.
Well, the nice thing about amnesia is that you can selectively remember shit. Maybe you just, remember the good things in life that you did.
So I tried to pull that a little bit. Our last campaign, like, we killed some dude, and I sat there, I turned to Luigi, I'm like, normally killing someone for the first time is a traumatic experience, but my character notes he didn't really feel anything of it. So I made sure to try and squeeze in, but like my character doesn't have a lot to work with yet, and he's gonna get better over time as I solidify who he is now, but I didn't have a defined place where I started, and I'm having trouble RPing him, to be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is rough. I mean, when I made my first character, I wrote like 3 pages of backstory for him.
Hey, that's what Val does all the time.
That's what I did for Leslie's campaign, and I had to throw it out because it straight up didn't work with the plot we were in.
Matter.
I mean,
Yeah,
Val
that-
has
that
written
is tough
3
to deal with.
pages of stuff for my game now.
So with Val's campaign, I wrote a very interesting character. His whole
Wait,
spiel was
whose campaign?
for Leslie's campaign. What did I
You
just
said
say?
Val.
Oh no, for Leslie's campaign.
The Lost
The whole
campaign.
idea was he was this very standoffish character who was constantly trying to get into fights with people, and then he was very built for 1v1 fights. So that was his whole deal, is he wanted to duel people. So that was my way of RPing into combat, because I made that a very combat-oriented character with his stats and abilities. But I don't know. I'm definitely going to reuse that character at some point, but it sucks.
That's definitely a tough situation to be in. Not having anything to work with a character is tough.
Yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I got to talk to Luigi on the side and figure out if I should continue on this path or just have him remember who he was and be that character.
The funny thing is, I actually am kind of fine with how mine is, because I basically went into it not with what a backstory was, but more along the lines of, this is the arc I want my character to go through. Like, I came up with a pre-death backstory, and then I'm like, yeah, my guy's going to kind of go this way. And I might end up even being evil, which is kind of crazy.
Evil.
Burn the church. Burn the church.
So let's move on to the second thing we were going to talk about. So for I think we've talked about it for D&D a little bit before, but I've actually had back when I started playing D&D, the guy who was running my game had the dry erase board, like, roll-up sheet, grid, and we all had models, like, he had. I didn't buy any, but he had models, and we used the grid, and he drew maps on it and everything. And then when I started my second or third game ever with Ed way back in the day, we just talked. We didn't have any physical map. We didn't have any physical map. We just talked out what we were doing and described what was happening, and would just kind of ballpark how things worked and just describe it and do it all imaginary, basically. And over the years, I've done mostly those, but I actually did last year, before that group fell apart here in Ohio, another game where we had a dry erase board with grid and everything like that and drawing maps. And I just wanted to see what you guys thought of doing it like the grid way versus the kind of freeform way, because Freeman, I think you haven't played with a grid before.
So I haven't played with a grid before, and to be fair, I really want to. The number one thing I hate doing when we play is I ask, like, how far away am I from this person, or how many are over there versus somewhere else. And I always have to ask questions about what's the situation around me, because unless I can see it, I need to know. And I think that would definitely cut down on how much I'm like. I want to go into my turn already knowing exactly what I'm going to do. In the past, like, I would pay very close attention to, like, how many, like, of X type of enemy died, and I used to keep track of this. But then after a while, I was like, I'll just ask Tim at the beginning of my turn.
Right.
And I want to go back to that way, where I'd go into a turn knowing this is exactly what I'm going to do, as opposed to having to gauge my surroundings because I can't, like, see it written down.
I totally understand that. Like, the one nice thing about grid is being able to say, hey, in combat, this is exactly how things work. But at the same time, there's also a lot more, moving all the characters around, like knowing exactly what the ranges on everything are, and redrawing the maps all the time, or having printed maps that you have to keep printing out.
Yeah, there is a lot of extra work involved.
There's a lot more logistics to using a grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, for like tiny skirmishes, not using a grid is fine. But like if you're doing like major altercations, I think a grid should be like, you should go that extra mile.
The other problem
it adds
is
that extra layer of strategy, especially like if there's a lot of things involved in it. It's just, it gets real tiresome. Like every single turn, okay, which of the 7 groups is closest to me, or some shit like that.
Right. No, and that's fair. I wish there was an easier way to do it. Unfortunately, because we play over the internet on Discord, without everybody not being directly at a computer most of the time, it's not easy to use something like Roll20. Like, we almost need another camera with a top-down view or something like that hooked up.
I've got it. We just need another tablet computer
Oh, God.
that's also sharing screen on Discord, But then no, so here's what no, this is so last week we're playing with Luigi and we're on this battlefield and he's like, there's 6 tents. I'm like, I have no idea where they are. So both me and Luigi both pop open Paint and just share a screen. We start describing the battlefield in Paint to each other. And then I wanted to try something. So I just screenshotted what Luigi was sharing, brought into Paint, and started just drawing X's over shit I wanted to do John Madden style. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun. But if you had like a different computer hooked up and then you were able to use your tablet to screen share like just Paint and you drew it, that would be one way to have it work, but that's a hardware requirement and I wouldn't spend that money just to improve our already functioning D&D campaign.
I mean, the other alternative is buying a super long extension cord for my webcam, like a super long USB extension, hanging it from the ceiling downstairs, and fucking having a mat on the table where I draw what's happening.
Hold on. Let me look up a piece of hardware real quick. There might be a wireless USB receiver.
I mean, I'm sure there is, but that's laggy as fuck.
Roll20.
See, but the problem with Roll20 is it's so... There's rigid? So much... Yeah, like, there's so much going on. Like, if I just had a piece of paper in front of me, I could just sketch it out, or like do like what Paint was.
No, Roll20 is not hard, bro.
It's not hard. It's just a lot. It's so much more extra work.
All right, Tim. I'm gonna show you how to do Roll20, and I'm gonna show you Incarnate.
Tyler, I've tried to use Roll20 before, and it's just fucking miserable.
Man, because you suck.
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
I love Incarnate.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you use Incarnate in conjunction with the
Look, this is irrelevant because as of right now, we don't have a way to add a grid because we sit on the couch so that me and Val can both play.
Just saying.
And I'm not gonna.
Aiden knows. Aiden knows that we've used Incarnate with
Yeah, Tyler. Look, when we move back near you guys, and we have a house, and we have the gaming table with the built-in computer, then sure, we will definitely use 20.
That's OD as fuck.
Dude, I want one of those setups so bad. That'd be so fucking cool.
Wait, hold on. You tell me you don't want to get a smartwatch. You think that shit's for losers, but you'll get a table with a TV in it.
Hold on. As someone who just got a smartwatch, they're definitely for losers.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I feel no.
Look,
no,
then
I
don't
feel
tell.
attacked.
Then don't be like, oh, you can't say it's for. Tyler, look, I get that it's a niche thing, but a smart watch does not serve a noticeably different purpose from your phone, whereas a TV built into a table for doing gaming stuff is certainly something you can't just pull out your phone and do.
Listen to yourself.
The lack of response explains how I'm correct.
No. I could actually go on about the smartwatch thing, but to save
Why?
time,
No. What?
I'm not gonna go into this.
No,
I love my
what?
smartwatch. I seriously don't leave my house without my smartwatch. Because now I don't have to look at my phone to do anything anymore.
Oh my god.
And I know that sounds really stupid. That sounds stupid.
It doesn't sound stupid, it
but,
sounds
like,
marginal.
Yeah, but the convenience of it is insane. Also attracts a bunch of my fitness stuff too. That I like.
The amount of times I pull out my phone to do something, to like switch songs or do whatever, especially when I got some of my hands full, like when I'm walking around and doing stuff. Aiden knows this. I can literally just tilt my freaking arm and just like with a pinky or something like that, just switch my song.
That sounds fair.
The lack of response is telling.
No, damn.
Hey man.
No.
Hey, man.
That sounds. I personally barely ever run into that. Like I was just saying a while ago, like I was thinking about buying wireless earbuds. And then I went, when would I actually ever use these? Like, at my job, I'm fine with wired earbuds because I'm not moving around all that much. And it's the same thing with the smartwatch. I'm not usually in a position where if I'm listening to music or earbuds where I am working and carrying stuff. You guys have a very different job setup than I do. So I could see you guys using it a lot more. It's just, for me, there's almost no case where I would need this, like... The 5% where using the smartwatch would be more convenient for me is not worth spending the money on a smartwatch.
Long story short, you can't use these things to draw a grid in D&D.
Yeah.
Yes. But you
True
can
story.
use a TV and a table to draw and paint and show everybody what's happening.
No, don't use paint. Come on now.
Look, I'm just using it as an
Yo,
example.
no lie, there was one point in my life, when I was at work and I was using the work computer, not at my current job, but at my security job, to design maps in paint.
Hell yeah.
That shit was rough.
I mean, what is paint if just stripped down Photoshop? I mean, really, it's basically...
Oh, yeah, before they got me my Visio license at work, I'd use paint to make up all of my diagrams.
I mean, I've used work
It was an
paint
actual
regularly
nightmare.
at my job to edit images because we don't have more advanced software. And GIMP fucking... Ugh.
GIMP.
I never want to use GIMP ever again. Although, this is almost a plug, but I found a post on Reddit a while ago where someone posted, like, here's my basic... It's basically a website version of Photoshop that this guy produces for free, and he's from, like, somewhere in, like, Eastern Europe. And he's like, yeah, I developed this website, and it's basically got all the functionality of Photoshop, but it's a free website. You just go on, save your stuff, and work off of. And, like, if I ever need to use Photoshop again, I'm just going to use this free thing.
Are you talking about Photopia?
I, in fact, am, and I just opened it just to look at it again. It literally looks like Photoshop. Like, the interface is Photoshop, and it just seems so much better than GIMP is, because GIMP...
I'm gonna tell you right now, GIMP's not good, so
No.
you're not really comparing it to much.
Well, no. GIMP has amazing functionality, but it's like the user interface was designed to be as clunky and unintuitive as possible. Like, in Photoshop, it's so easy to just type out a thing, change the text size, and, like, move it around. And in GIMP, you have to, like... Just changing text size in GIMP is fucking impossible.
Yeah.
It's so... It's so
It's not like it's
roundabout about
bad
everything.
and no one should use it, and it's free for a reason.
But so's Photopia.
Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna give my 2 cents though, real quick, on freeform versus
Good idea.
Matt,
Bringing it back.
before we continue. So I think I agree with Aiden. Mostly for like the short combat scenarios or like short like RP things. But I think it's also good if your system almost requires it or like would heavily base upon it. Like technically, I should be running Terra Vigor, my campaign stuff, like my games, on a board at all times because I use firearms and the cover system is like a thing. And it's like I kind of forego it because it's like, fuck it, like they're just gonna hit each other. We're not using grids, like, and it's hard to keep track of like knowing off the top of my head. It's like, oh, Aiden's behind cover, right? And it's just like sometimes I'll think about like doing it, sometimes I won't because it's like I'll forget about it. But if they're not in cover, then the enemies are also not in cover as well. But I know that the quality would be probably 100 times better if I did. Also, it's just cool to use a fucking mat. Because then, like, you can really, I feel... oh, wait, no, sorry. It's not freeform. It's theater of mind. That's the terminology.
Ooh.
That's what it's called. I forgot what it was called. I was like, I know there's a word for this. But yeah, theater of mind is cool. But with more technical things and with a system that should really be using it, you should use a mat. Especially if you have... Now, I'm not saying that none of us at the table are this. Ever. But you got some rules lawyers out there who are like, yo, listen, blah, 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 blah. This spell can only be used from this range. Like, you such and such can't use this, or like you're not allowed to cancel this out. And it's just like, dude, come on. Like that, like now you're literally just pissing on everybody's fun. And it's like, I feel like theater of mind is more for a group that is more open to like a chill environment and everything. Like, I feel like that's the kind of mood that I kind of run with Boris and Warneon.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very, very lax. Like I try to have somewhere in the middle of like there are some rules, but like it's mostly very loose because we're honestly just there to have fun and like it's funny, it's silly, it's not that we try not to take it that serious. And it's like if we mess up a rule, no one gets really mad or anything. It's just like, oh, whatever, it happened, it happened. Let's just move on. Like that's the atmosphere myself as the DM and the players have established together.
Yeah, we are a very jovial bunch.
Yeah, it gets pretty funny. It gets pretty weird.
We're just out there to get Betamaxes and fulfill the dreams of Babushka.
Fulfill it because Babushka loves us.
Babushka loves us.
Wow.
That was, dude. There's something up, right? Like when you have good players, right, and like everything jives, then it's like the stories kind of make their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of going back to the Twin Blades story or whatever.
Yeah.
Because even Leslie and Val were like, "Oh, I wish we could have like a cool nickname thing." Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, shut up. This is mine.
Go ahead, do it.
You gotta put effort into it, though. That's the thing. Like we made it happen.
You're
Yeah,
the ones
exactly.
who control. Wow, my phone just went nuts. You're the ones who control that. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, and it really is. It really is. Like, and if you're like, I had no intention of Boris and War Neon meeting all of these characters, and then not only meeting all of these characters, but then like basically trying to recruit all of them for a thing. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, the mercenary company is it's gonna be real. The dream's gonna be real. I'm gonna
like, it's cool.
Boris and War Neon are gonna have a oil rig out in the Seychelles.
Wow.
Yes. It's happening. Oh, that's a big fucking bug.
Speaking of bugs, why don't we
Odd transition, but let's move into weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll move into
We've
weeks.
covered a lot, and I think we've done a good spread on everything. So I think it's high time we call it, because we also did want to stop relatively early tonight.
The old dusty trail.
Friedman, what are you up to this week?
Well, last week I finally got around to watching Detective Pikachu, and I'll say it was a good live action Pokemon movie. I was actually impressed by it. Did anyone else watch it, or am I the only one?
No, you're the only one.
I saw that
haven't
one of
watched
my I saw that one of my Plex buddies from way back in the day has it now, but I did not watch it.
Overall, it was really good. At first, I thought it was in one of those movies where it's like, this is for someone who's never heard of Pokemon before, and then they made it very clear, like, we're gonna throw some Pokemon terminology that if you play the games, you know, but anyone else can be so confused. Like,
Can you give an example?
Where the main character, him and Detective Pikachu go to this underground fighting pit in the city where Pokemon fights are illegal, and they're trying to just like get info, and Pikachu can't remember how to fight. And it's just Ryan Reynolds fucking around. And then Tim's like, "You got to use Volt Tackle. It's your strongest move." And I sat there, I'm like he's 100% right. But if someone didn't know this sounds like mumbo jumbo. Like he was talking about real battle shit in the movie, and it was only during that one part. Most of it was you can get by with no real knowledge, and it was fine. It was just you accepted it. And then they said one thing, like I don't know if I want to spoil the movie for you, but like someone straight up lists an ability that a certain strong Pokemon can do, and this ability is some horse shit they made up for the movie.
When you say ability, do you mean like a passive or like it's just a move?
I can't say it without ruining the plot line.
That's fine.
But like this guy says it as a matter of fact, and I'm just sitting there like, is that like a thing we're supposed to think is real? Because like everyone else in the show, in the movie, just like immediately is like, oh wow, and I'm like,
Nani?
no, like that one little bit I had a problem with, but except for that one line, the rest of the movie was a-okay, and I think it was good.
Right.
Besides that, a lot of Monster Hunter, breaking into high rank. I stayed up late on Saturday fighting Nergigante because he was crushing me super hard. And then I had one run where I got him all the way to the part where he's like pretty much dead without carding once. And then he kept doing this bullshit where he roars, gets up on his hind legs, and then one hand got me from full health to 0. And he did that twice.
Nice.
I had no way to interact with it. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck? The game is trying to steal the last 40 minutes of my life from me. And I finally got the kill on. I was so happy I went immediately to sleep. But then I'm farming the shit out of this week.
That's okay. That's what's gonna happen after the podcast. Is gonna be back to my farming,
Yes,
and I'm
sir.
sure everybody's farming. Got to farm those fucking monster hunters.
Got
Yeah.
to farm.
Um,
Get those monsters. Get those gems. Those fangs.
God.
That's pretty much
I
it.
got a
don't see
story
any
for
other
you,
crazy
Aiden, at the
stuff
end.
going on.
Alright.
Aiden, speaking of, what have you been up to? What are you doing?
Oh god, I've been doing a few things. I'm getting back into Borderlands 2, just because apparently that's the new hotness again.
Well, they did put out
Uh,
that DLC for it to get rid of Ready for 3.
Yeah. So I'm on that right now. I've been playing a little bit of that. I got my new graphics card. I've been trying to play Witcher, but for some reason with my new graphics card, my Witcher
Tyler
3
mentioned.
wants to use. Yeah, it's forcing my onboard CPU graphics,
What
and I
the
don't know why. I
fuck?
have no idea why. Every other game I get like 240 FPS, and then it's like I load into Witcher and I got like 30 frames in Novigrad, and I'm like, God, I just don't know what's happening right now. So that's some trouble that I've been running into lately. Also, I'm getting prepped for this hot new game coming out called World of Warcraft.
Never heard of it.
Hot
Who's making this
yeah.
game?
I thought you weren't super into the
It's
idea of
Blizzard.
Legacy.
Yeah,
Ah,
I mean,
actually,
I don't know.
classic,
World of
classic
Warcraft,
game.
the World of Warcraft is releasing August 27th, 2019.
Yeah, but I thought you
Hopefully it's
weren't
gonna
that
see a
hyped for
massive
Classic.
expansion. Oh, I'm still hyped for it now.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I lied.
There you
Yo,
go. Turned
listen,
around on it.
No,
Oh,
okay.
no.
I was misled.
Oh.
There's been a lot of rumors flying around Classic, like, oh, they're gonna, they're doing like some quality of life updates and this and that, and it's like, from where I'm sitting right now, it seems like all of that was BS. They're not doing a looking for dungeon or a looking for raid, so it's actually going to be like as close to a vanilla WoW experience that they possibly could do at this point. Because you know what? Guaranteed they had none of that source code left over. Somebody
Damn.
probably threw that shit out ages ago, which is why they probably hooked up with those guys from Nostalrius and shut down all those servers and recruited them and whatnot.
Damn, Tyler, why you gotta
So-
post this Konosuba shit?
Because it makes
Oh,
so much
yes.
sense.
I have also been watching Konosuba.
I see you're a man of culture as well.
Also, I noticed Kakagurui live action on Netflix. I entertained 2 episodes and I want to kill myself.
Damn.
From the trailer, it looked like it was just very over-the-top Japanese acting. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, it is. But man, this is like 110% cringe though.
Oof. Too much.
I
too
might
much,
watch
rough.
this.
Too much
No.
cringe.
I'm not gonna tell you to do so. It like, man, you take your own
You
poison,
do
bro.
you.
Other than that, that's pretty much what I've been up to.
Gotcha. Tyler, what you doing?
What am I doing? I'm getting my buddy's 1080 Ti.
Nice.
It's gonna be dope. I'm going with this loser Aiden to Din Din tomorrow.
Love you too, buddy.
Yep. And seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a second time.
Oh, you've already seen it once?
Wow, what the
Yeah, I've seen
fuck,
it.
man?
Wait, how was it?
What?
Yeah, I want to know how it
I
is.
told
Is it
you
good?
that I did already, Aiden, or I thought I did.
You never
No, you
told us.
didn't. You lied.
Either way,
No.
you never told us. How was it?
Oh, it was like All right, so here's the thing. Here,
Oh,
here's
boy.
Oh boy.
Here's the
here's
warning.
what it is. All right, here's the warning. All right, because I got it. This is mainly going out to our generation or anyone like around our age, maybe younger, that want to see this movie. Objectively, this is a good movie, right? It's a Quentin Tarantino from start to finish. He pulls out all his usual stops, like with suspense and the dialogue, and picking this stellar talent that just delivers, right? And the set design, I could go on and on and on and on about the scenes, the directing, the song choice, and all that shit. And it's good, but the movie takes place in 1969,
Mm-hmm.
and everything about the movie is about the 1960s and that lead into the early 70s. And honestly, if you haven't been around that time or aren't knowledgeable in that stuff, then you won't really get a lot of the material that is being presented in front of you. Like, I left the theater thinking that, yo, this was a good movie, but I feel that I didn't truly appreciate what was going on screen because I didn't know what about like or understand or feel half the shit that was going on.
I was going to ask if you have an example you can give, but I realized you just said you didn't understand a lot of
So-
the stuff. So I guess that's a bad
so what
question.
Well, no,
you're-
I can give you an example, right? So for example, actually there's a few things. Like everybody oh wait, no, what's the deal? Like the Charles Manson thing, right? Like cuz
Yeah.
that gets brought up and that's a very like that's an obvious thing that gets like shown and like talked about like even these days, but like no one really understood like how it was. Like I wouldn't like we never lived through that. But they make the theme very apparent and it's like, oh, like I don't understand. Or they talk about famous boxing matches, which are all famous things in history, but like we never really lived through it.
So what
and it
you're
feels-
saying is that
Yeah.
Tarantino made a movie for him and everybody over the age of 40.
Basically, like if my dad went to go see that movie, he would love it. I think my dad would love
I
this
was gonna say the same thing. I
movie.
think
Your
my
dad would love this movie too.
I-
Like
I-
100%.
If it's still in theaters when we're home, maybe I'll get him to go with me, and then he can
Like
tell me
your
what was in
dad,
it.
like I would say, like this is because your dad is obviously like a huge movie buff.
Yeah,
And he lived around that time, like that time period. Like this movie was made for like children of the 60s who are huge movie buffs.
that's not a bad idea now that I think about it. Maybe I actually will see if he wants to see it together while we're home in August.
Yeah, like it's almost like I made the comparison. Like it's not like 100% dead on, but I compare it to like, oh, you watch South Park, but you don't keep up with the times. Like you don't pay attention to the news or like any of the trends, but you watch South Park. It's funny, right? Like oh, like like you laugh at the jokes, but like you don't really
You don't
understand.
get
So-
why it's
so
really
you-
fun.
Yeah,
You're basically laughing at the level 1 stuff, but the level 2 stuff is just you're not even able to register it.
yeah, and I'm aware of these things happening. Like
it
oh,
doesn't
like I
mean
know
much.
that this is a thing, you know.
I mean, hell, like you said, Charles Manson, like we know that name, but that doesn't mean nearly as much as the people who lived through that.
Yeah, and like oh, and then Sharon Tate is in the movie, or Margot Robbie plays Sharon Tate, and like I had no idea that she got killed by Manson's followers. No idea. And it's like, oh, okay. And like my friends explain that to me because they're like, you know, they dip their toes into history and like they're filling me in on stuff.
Ca-
So they kind of appreciated it a little bit more than I did.
Gotcha. Can I just say that the trailers for this movie looked really interesting, but I had literally no clue what the plot of this movie was.
All right, that's another thing. You probably won't. You probably won't know
What do you
until
what do you-
like the very end, and like you kind of put things together. It's like, oh,
Okay, because like the trailer is just like here's
It's just a
here's a
hodgepodge of
guy who's
shit.
an actor who's kind of his star is falling, and here's his stunt double, and then that's it.
I mean,
all
honestly,
the trailer
that is
said.
the movie. That is actually the movie. It's about this guy and his stunt double, and he's falling from stardom, and he's like trying to cope and like get through like this weird time in his
So
life.
it almost sounds like it's more of a personal piece than like a story movie.
I would say so.
Weird.
I would say it hits a lot home, especially
That sounds
there's
so different from Tarantino's stuff.
the content isn't, but like as far as like you know the
Right.
theme and the subject matter, like I could totally 100% be on board with that statement
Right.
because it was a different kind of Tarantino flick, but it kept with his same themes where it had like a little bit of social commentary, at some points, and like the philosophical chit chat and the long drawn out conversations that also include a lot of tension.
Cool.
So I'm kind of interested in actually seeing it a second time to see what I missed, because I probably obviously missed a few things here and there. But yeah, it's a good movie. I still recommend it if you're like a movie buff than anything, because it's just But if you want to go there and like I don't know, like I would be wary if you're a younger audience member. trying to see it.
Anything else?
I'm taking a firearms training class next week.
That's part of why no podcast though.
Yeah, I kind of took it on a whim, and it was I think they either had it on Thursdays or Tuesdays.
No, it's fine because Freeman's got his own stuff that he can miss for, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Easy
but it's
skip week.
like, listeners, it's
Fine.
nothing too major. It's like a 2-hour course, and like, I learn how to shoot targets better. Like, I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I'll just go
Target
do my own podcast then.
With blackjack and hookers.
With
Aiden-
blackjack and hookers.
Oh my god.
With
Aiden,
Boris,
we'll
Alright.
what's
start
his
our
face?
own podcast because I'll be
Yeah.
free. We'll start the Monster Hunter podcast where I just
Hell
get
yeah.
that drop
No.
rates the whole time.
Stop.
Yeah. Fuck
Tim, what are you doing?
Fuck you,
Speaking
Tim.
of Monster Hunter,
God.
so I haven't actually been playing it nearly as much as I was because, like I said, last weekend I was home for a few days, and this week's just kind of been catch up on cleaning up the house, fucking all this shit because we're in the middle of summer and everything, and but I have been playing Monster Hunter. I have been grinding a lot. The funny story I wanted to tell you, Aiden. So last night, so right now for those listening, I've been grinding out Valhazak gear. Grinding Valhazak because I am using a great sword that needs Valhazak stuff to finish the final tier. And I was grinding Valhazak like crazy, and I decided to start building the armor, and lo and behold, the fangs for fucking Valhazak seem to be more rare than gems, which is totally against how it should work.
For anyone who doesn't play the game, gems have like a 2 to 3% drop rate.
Gems are like 3% drop rate on a monster, and fangs are supposed to be a minimum of 8. And somehow I've only gotten... What's the total number? 7 fangs and 4 gems. 5 gems. And lo and behold, Aiden, you won't believe this, 3 of those gems were in one run last night. I carved his tail and got a gem. I carved him and got a gem, and I got a gem as my golden quest reward.
Oh my
And I
God,
got 1
hate
fang
you.
for that run.
You know what? This is punishment, Tim.
But
I know what you
also,
did.
but also, Aiden is also salty for those at home, because apparently after only 50 hours of playing this game, I somehow got 2 armor charms.
You mean attack gems?
Attack gems that Aiden has gotten 0 of in his 150 hours.
Yeah, I hate you. 0.0% drop rate bullshit.
0.0, what was it? 0.03 on any Elder Dragon?
Yeah, some shit like that.
0.07,
It's an absurdly low-
0.07,
yes.
0.07, that's what it was.
It's an absurdly low drop rate. That's all that matters.
Uh,
And it's not fair. The
so
universe isn't fair.
So Freeman told me before he got on, he actually has one too.
So they gave you one for logging in
Yeah,
during the event.
They give you one. Yes, you get one for free.
Yeah.
But the fact that you got another one on top of that is what kills me.
Yeah, that's why I was confused last night. I finally had slots. I'm like, all right, let's put in that one attack. What's the second one doing here? And I sat there like, I don't remember actually getting this. When did this
Wait,
happen?
you have 2 of them also?
What
Yeah.
the fuck? Where was I?
Damn,
What was I
bro.
doing? I must
I
have
don't
missed
know.
something.
Sleeping, clearly.
It was
Dude,
back before I knew what
Sleeping on
decorations
these
are. I probably wasn't
gems.
paying attention to the
I-
evaluation.
Oh, me
Dude, I
either,
can't.
but apparently maybe it's just Aiden who has shit luck and everyone else has pretty good luck.
Sounds like we just need to grind more. That's the best way to
maybe-
fix it.
Yeah,
do I
that's
need
what
to
we're
do
gonna do.
events? Was it an event reward somewhere that I missed?
No, I haven't done events in a long time. I don't
I'm
know.
upset now. I don't even
Either
wanna play
way,
with you guys.
Other than that, my girlfriend and I have been watching the new season of Queer Eye came out on Netflix, and that show's always a really just enjoyable time to watch. Been working our way through that. Like I said, we started Fire Force, new Demon Slayer that I wish Freeman would catch up on so we could talk
Oh, it's
about
fine.
it.
Crunchyroll already
Pretty
fucking
great.
spoiled the episode in all of social media, so I know it's a sad one.
Wow.
Rip.
Damn.
Wait, sad one.
Well, they
This
showed
is
what
what-
seemed to be a character dying.
Honestly, this episode was more fucking horrifying than anything for me.
Okay, maybe it was just a misleading picture.
Aiden, you've been watching Demon Slayer. You're caught up, right?
Nope. I
Oh.
have not. I have no idea what any of y'all are talking
Never mind
about.
then. Tyler,
So I
you
want-
understand why this was
Yeah.
horrifying for me on a personal level
It was
this past
pretty.
week.
It was pretty creepy. It was pretty fucking.
But you can also understand why it was completely my aesthetic times 1,000 compared to what we've
Oh
seen
yeah.
already.
Oh yeah.
This was the
I
most
figured
like
you got a kick out of it.
this was the most like fuck Tim. Wait, no, actually Tim's gonna love this episode. humanly possible.
Like I imagine it was very conflicting for you.
Oh, the first half was like, I want to die. I don't want to watch this ever. And then the second half was like, wait, don't stop. Don't keep going. Other than that, really not that much. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's really just been grinding Monster Hunter and watching those shows, and that's kind of. I'm currently working my way through the 4th book in that book series that I talked about, Red Rising. I finally manned up because this book is much less. This is a very different book from the first 3 in the series, and I finally forced myself to sit down and do it since I'd pre-ordered the 5th one and it just came out today. So I'm forcing my way through it, and man, this is. There's a reason book 5 is called the Dark Ages, because this is already getting even darker than the not happy times of the first 3 books.
You mean the dank ages?
Oh my god. With that amazing send-off from Tyler.
Yeah, as always.
We're gonna end it here. Like I said, no podcast next week. Maybe me and Friedman will do something about Magic, because it's Commander spoilers starting this week, so maybe we'll do a little bit of that. Oh, and on Saturday, I'm actually going to go to my Magic store that's like 45 minutes away, and me and my entire group are going to go join a 2-headed giant Commander tournament. And we're gonna see how we can do. Me and we already have 3 teams of 2 people, and apparently the competitiveness ranges very widely there, so... We're just going to go. I might play my budget deck. I'm not sure what I'm playing yet, but the guy I'm paired with, the other guy who spends a fair amount of money on Magic, he's like, yeah, he might just build a deck to support my budget deck, which would be hilarious. But yeah, so maybe me and Freeman will do like a talk about that. I'll come back with some news about that, because I'm going to see a lot of decks I've probably never seen before. And we'll talk about Commander spoilers. But if not, then we'll just have no podcast next week. Or maybe I'll live stream or something. I don't know. But either way, thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, my name's Timpedia.
I'm Friedman.
Just Tyler.
The amazing AIDS. Drink your water.
Hydro Homie Aiden signing out.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody.
Hashtag Hydro Homies.
Oh, my God. Thanks for listening, everybody.